Hello, I'm Max. I'm a co-founder here at TradrLab, and in this video, I'm just going to walk you through, give you some tips and tricks, help you understand some of our kind of terminology and features, and hopefully this will help you get started, so that you can understand how to use the platform as well as possible and get the most out of it. So first things first, we have a terminology that we call scenarios. Now, scenarios are just a particular pattern that happens in historical data. It's not a buy signal or a sell signal, it's just a pattern. And they can be made up of indicators, they can be made up of candle patterns, price action, or it could be a combination of all of them at once. They can happen kind of on one bar or over a period of bars, but it's just a logical set of steps that occur in the market and form what we call a scenario. So when we are writing our prompts to build our scenarios, we're just explaining that pattern. We don't need to say when this scenario occurs, buy or sell. You just explain the individual pattern on its own. So let me give you an example. If we were going to do like a moving average crossover, for example, I mean we have some pre-built templates here, but I'll type it just so you can see. I would just explain. I would choose the period of those moving averages. Then I would just explain the pattern. So let's take a 20 EMA crosses above the 50 EMA. I don't need to say buy. I don't need to say sell. I just need to explain that pattern. Once I type it, I click this little send button, and now this will go off to the AI and come back with what we call a rephrasing. And the rephrasing allows you to kind of confirm that the AI has understood it correctly. It helps us reduce hallucinations, and it allows you to actually correct it. If it's wrong, correct it. For example, you might have typed 20 EMA and it come back with 30, or maybe you want to change it, right? So you could say change 20 EMA to 30. And you can kind of do these things incrementally as well. So I could change it. I could change the parameter, or maybe I'd want to add a bit more detail on. And we do actually recommend you kind of do things like that. You can build these out in steps. So with a moving average crossover, it's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple scenario in this example. But if you was to add more detail to it, then you could do that in steps. But in this case, let's go ahead and just build that. So yeah, once you're happy with it and it looks all correct, you can hover over the message and then click generate scenario. And now this is going to run through the historical data, and it's going to find everywhere that this particular scenario has happened. Now you might have seen as well, I didn't mention a symbol, or I didn't mention a time frame that I want to analyze that on. I just explained the pattern, as I said, and then down the bottom you'll see some symbols and alongside that some time frames. Now what I'm doing is I'm typing this scenario once and then automatically applying it to multiple symbols and multiple time frames all at the same time. And I can add more symbols as well. If I click the plus button down the bottom left, I can open up this symbol selector window, and yeah, I can add in pretty much. We've got Forex in there, we've got crypto CFDs, we've got indices, but yeah, Forex and CFDs mainly. We'll be looking to add more in the future, but for now you can pretty much go in here and add all different symbols, all different time frames, and then if I change tabs, it will automatically apply this strategy now, or this scenario, to this symbol and time frame. Let me close this window for now. Also, I suggest you always rename these as well, because it can get quite confusing if you forget to. So I'll call this one EMA cross. To do that, you just click the three buttons there, click rename, enter the what you want to call it. Sorry, let me do capitals, I prefer that. And there we have it. You can rename it just like that. Now on the chart, let's look at the actual scenario that is built. On the chart here, you'll see these small little blue circles with an S inside. Now this means, or it indicates everywhere that the scenario is true. So as you can see, the blue line, which is the 30 EMA, has crossed above the orange line, which is the 50 EMA. And you can see that there again. You can see that there again. Yeah, so that indicates everywhere that that's true. Down the bottom, you can either scroll if you hover over here, or click stats and it will take you straight down to it. You'll see some stats and things like how many times has this scenario occurred on this symbol and this time frame. You can see the first occurrence of it, the last occurrence of it, and you can see the date range that we are analyzing on. So we've got the oldest date there is the 1st of the 1st, 2020, up until yesterday's date. And that data automatically just gets updated as the data comes in. Then down the bottom as well, we have some histograms. Now we can show you what time of the day it's occurring most on this one, what day of the week it's occurring most in this middle histogram, and then what month of the year it's occurring most. And these are all filterable, right? So let's say I trade just the London Open. I can filter and just say, okay, just show me 8 a.m., 9 a.m., and 10 a.m. In other words, show me just the scenarios that occurred during those times. Now, as you can see in this little column, filtered column now, it says 158. So that means within those times, there was 158 occurrences of a moving average crossover on this symbol and this time frame. And then you'll see the table on the left here is now just showing the date or the times that occurred between 8 a.m. up until 11 a.m. And you can click on these rows and it should navigate you straight to that particular scenario as well. So you can visually analyze it as well. But if you wanted to analyze further, there's a few things you could do. So you could export all this data into a spreadsheet. You just click export, click open here, and it'll open a spreadsheet with all that open, high, low, close data. Or you can click query again. It will open up the query scenario. It will open up the chatbot again. And then if you click query scenario, you can start to ask some questions and get some answers back. Now, this is in its first sort of version. There are some bugs. There's some bugs throughout the whole platform, as we are in a sort of a beta stage. But you can start to experiment and start to ask some interesting questions. So, for example, I could ask, how many true scenarios are there, right? Just as an example of how this works. I'll click send and then hopefully get an answer. And because I've already got this data filtered, it should be, I'm asking the questions on my filtered data. So that's where this is really useful, right? If I'm trading a specific session of the day, I just want to analyze those times. I want to kind of ignore the rest of the day. Then I can come down here, filter my data with these histograms, and then ask questions up here, and I'll be able to just get the answers back for that particular time. So then I can ask more interesting things. Now again, this is in its sort of beta phase, so don't go and trust the don't take the information as gospel, but it's more getting used to the functionality that's possible. So we can say things like, does this produce a good, or does this signal produce a good bullish move? Now, the questions you can ask are pretty open-ended. You can be a bit more analytical. So I could ask maybe, how often is this scenario followed by a green bar? How often is it followed by a green bar that's greater than 50 pips? You can really start to dive into this, ask some really open-ended questions and get some answers back. Now, the fact that it is so open and is so free form is a bit of a challenge as well. You need to obviously have good prompts and have good prompt engineering and ask the right questions. But we'd love you to experiment with it and really see how it works for you, if you think there's any value in there, and we'd love your feedback on it as well. So I can ask, like I said, pretty open-ended questions like, does this produce a good bullish signal or a good bullish move? And it will come back with some answers. So the average percentage changes in the close price after the signal is triggered are as follows. Over 5 periods, it's on average down 0.25%. Over 10, it's down more, and over 20, it's down even more. So these results indicate that on average, the signal does not produce a bullish move as the price tends to decrease after the signal is triggered. Now, I could go right into this more. I could start to say, okay, do a bit of a back test. So if I buy on the open of the next bar, and exit 10 bars later, what will my results have been? But yeah, you can dive right in and really start to pull out some interesting information. So yeah, that's hopefully a good quick overview of how you can use this. I'm going to be making some other videos as well, diving into actually how to really do good prompts so that you can actually build the scenarios that you want to build. But yeah, jump on, have a look, and reach out if you need any help. Thank you. Cheers.